we need to neutralize to get our message across. And my first question to you, Muiwa, is that the methods of communication and marketing I studied 25 years ago, the principles are basically the same, but the methods and the channels specifically have been through a revolution in the types of media, especially electronic and digital media. And I admit that it's very hard to keep track of the novelties in the channels or the media options. All the social media, for instance, would be a very easy assumption for anyone starting to or planning to communicate their own festival in social media. Let's boost our Facebook posting, but that may not be the case according to your audience, because the users of Facebook now are getting much older, so you'll be missing the younger audience. So what's your advice to everyone here to keep up to date in terms of the available tools to reach audiences, especially online, especially digital, but in general? What do you say about that?
Well, I think the most important thing is to identify your audience. Okay? The audience you reach effectively with Facebook may be getting older, but what if my audience is the older generation?
What if it's not?
If it is not, then I have to use the most appropriate platform on social media. Again, you know that social media usage differs from country to country. In Nigeria, the most popular for the younger audience is Instagram. Okay? So if I am reaching that audience, then I know that okay, I have to be on Instagram. Okay? And then again, if the most effective way will be an admixture of different platforms. Okay? So if, for example, if for my festival, government is important to me as an audience, and I want to reach, I can reach them directly through direct communication. I can reach government through, if I want to reach government on social media. In Nigeria, where I come from, it has to be Twitter. You know, government officials in Nigeria are most active on Twitter. Okay. Maybe then again, to some extent, Twitter has an appeal for older people. But if I want to reach government, I have to be on Twitter. If I want to reach younger people, I have to be on Instagram. So I think the most important thing before deciding which media channels to use is to be very clear about the people you want to talk to. And now find out, okay, these people, what are the most effective ways for me to reach them? That will now guide your selection of what media platforms to use.
Excellent. And I've been thinking, as you were speaking, is that sometimes the artist, I'm not sure in the case of animation, but sometimes the artist is an even bigger brand than the festival itself. For instance, if you line up, say, Kanye West or Beyonce, they have more followers than you, more leverage with media vehicles as well. How do you think that we could equalize the weight of a brand like Beyonce, I don't know, within your festival, without Beyonce cannibalizing your own brand, because that can happen?
Well, you see, that is what again brings us to identity. You have to define your identity, not only in terms of appearance, but in terms of brand essence. Now, when you define your identity, what that does is that it also defines the kind of people that will be attracted to your festival. So in that case, even if a particular artist has a bigger, a larger than life personality, it will work in favor of your festival because your brand essence, your identity aligns. If, for instance, I'm doing an animation festival and I say, oh, Disney is going to be featured. It's an animation festival. That is not going to cannibalize the image of the festival. It will enhance it because this is what the festival is all about. That is why it's so important to define your brand identity. That it's just the advantages are huge, and what Willis just talked about is that is the kind of problem you will have if you have not clearly defined your identity.
And by identity is, of course, the brand identity, but also what you deliver, intangible values. And I wanted to switch a little bit the logic, because most of the focus here was how to reach your end user or the festival goer, how to reach maybe 1 million people so you can host 100,000 people, because there's also a dispersion in mass communication. But on the other side of your value chain, you need also to be appealing. For instance, if you plan to invite Beyoncé, she just plays where she wants to be, and she wants to be where she can see value, reaching new audiences, new territories, new markets, and etc. And for her to see value in your festival and agree to perform in your stage, you need to demonstrate. So how do you approach some? Of course, Beyoncé is off charts, but you get what I mean. How do you approach an artist that's actually you are competing with other festivals sometimes to get, and try to differentiate? You should come here to play here and not the festival the next month in the next city. How do you create value, perceived value, for the object that you are trying to present to the audiences, for the content?
Thank you. Again, this is why in branding, in brand consulting, which I do, we have what we call brand ambassadors. Sometimes you want to get a celebrity to promote your product, to promote your brand. I'm sure everybody here understands what I'm talking about. Now, when we are trying to decide who the brand ambassador for a product is, we have to work with the identity of that product. And I'll give a very simple, straightforward example. I have a product for children aged 2, 3, 4. My brand ambassador will most probably be a young mom who most probably has kids of that age range, so that it is believable, so that it is credible.
It's relatable.
It's relatable, exactly. So this is how brand ambassadors are chosen. It has to align with the brand. It has to be a fit. And the same strategy must be applied if I want to invite an artist to my festival. I'll give you an example. Even though it's an animation film festival, we do have once in a while somebody to perform. What if this person is a celebrity that loves animation? That way, he may even perform for free, because this is what he loves, this is what he has a passion for. So this same approach needs to be applied. The more you apply the principles of branding, the more successful you are.
Have you found yourself in a situation in running your festival? How many years was your festival?
6 years.
6 years. In the past 6 years, have you been yourself in a situation where you had to convey not so good messages to your audiences? For instance, a cancellation, a change in schedule. So, and that's a big part of risk assessment when you are planning a festival. So you need to, for instance, communicate a cancellation, last minute cancellation of an event or something like that, or maybe a power shortage in the area that you need to change plans. How to approach the negative message that sometimes you are obliged to send to the public.
Yeah, we had that experience during COVID, and we had to not only reschedule, we also had to do the festival online, entirely online. It is virtual. The good thing
synchronously, was it streamed synchronously, so there was one specific time of the day for people to watch the animation, or just uploaded people could go there and watch
No,
whenever.
no, no. It was streamed.
Okay,
It
so
was streamed live. Yes.
Live.
Yeah. And that was extremely challenging for us. But I think the most important thing is if you find yourself in a situation where you have to make a last minute transformation, it has to take a force majeure, like an earthquake or something, because you have a year to plan. And planning means you have to imagine all possible terrible scenarios and make provision and take preemptive measures. If you ever have to come up with that kind of extreme
No, it's very hard to
it has to
plan
be,
B, C, D, E, F.
it has to be due to something that everybody can easily understand.
Yeah.
Maybe like a force of nature or like the pandemic, something that is easy for people to understand. And that is why that takes us back to sustainability. That takes us back to when I was talking about value proposition. I talked about uniqueness, desirability, and deliverability, the capacity to deliver consistently. If you find yourself in that kind of situation, maybe you are running a festival that you don't have the capacity to deliver or to sustain. Maybe you do it this year and next year you get tired, you can't do it again. So that value proposition is not just value for today, it has to be sustainable value. You have to ask yourself, is it sustainable? Can I sustain this value delivery? If you are doing 10 kg value and you cannot sustain it, then reduce to 2 kg value that you can sustain and grow organically.
Coming back to something I mentioned on Friday, please go and watch the documentary about Fire Festival, which is really about the inability to deliver, because it was highly unique festival with big names in a Caribbean island. It was desirable because it was so aspirational, it was such added value, but it was not delivered. And it was a big legal and fraud scandal. I have actually a lot more questions, but I want to create a space here for our friends, our participants here, to ask whatever they want. You work in animation, so you must be very excited. By the way, congratulations on the slogan, Animate in Africa. It's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Your festival look like mine. Our festival right here in Ivory Coast, because we have organized 5 editions. We prepare the next one next year. And for us, the main problem in the animation sector is the content, because when you open the application for the different projects, it's very difficult